Boy, oh boy, it's been a while. How much of a while has it been? Well, I can't even get my camera to work. So, got to use the webcam on the camera. So, forgive the quality. But if anybody could hit me up and let me know what's going on with StreamYard and the issue with Canon cameras, DSLRs, I would greatly appreciate that. But welcome, beautiful people. Good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. And I thank you for coming to my humble abode right here on Chapapa TV. Yes, it's me. It's Chapapa. It's been a minute. Um, what's going on? I know you guys have tons of questions. Came back, hair grew, locked it up for the last time, hopefully. And what we got tonight? Say what's up to me. How you guys doing? It's been a while. Years almost over. Um, shit. What you guys make of it? What do you guys make of it? I really don't understand what's going on with this. But anywho, what's been doing me? Still in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Actually, I just signed a lease yesterday for another apartment on the east side of Sao Paulo. And I'm gonna get into that, but I have some issues with Brazil when it comes to wanting to get things done on your own. And before you guys say, "Oh, it's a foreigner thing," or it's an expat thing, it's American thing. Nah, it's not, because the people here go through it the same way, and I'm pretty sure those of you who frequent to Brazil, you'll always hear, "Oh, the Brazilian bureaucracy," or just shit works a little bit backwards here. Not as backwards as other places I have lived, but they do make it hell here. But what's going on, people of the chat? Ricky, what's going on? How's everything going with you? Proface still in Mexico, I see. Salute to you. I hope everything is going well down there. How you guys doing tonight, man? I know I miss chatting with you guys. I know I've been MIA a little, or not in terms of like the live streams, but I have been putting up shorts for you guys, like I've promised. I've put up the shorts, but just as far as the live streams and editing videos, man, I've just been hitting the ground running here in South America, man. Just been hitting the ground running, just things that call my attention to live in the now, live in the moment. And I want all of you guys, to do that, to live that way, to like live in those moments that call for your attention now, right? So YouTube is great. YouTube gets to connect me with all of you. I get to, pass information. I get to help folks out. But then sometimes I just have my days where I'm just trying to take advantage and appreciate where I'm at. And I don't really, pay attention to the phones or the cameras. But I will make it my due diligence to come back and update you guys and, share what's been going on, right? As we can see from the title of tonight's video, what I have learned transitioning from DR to Brazil, because we'll think, oh, yeah, it's Latin America. But to be honest, there's some similarities, shockingly, and there's some differences. Rick from Jersey, thank you. Good to be back. Good to be back. I'm glad all you guys are here, man. You guys know the deal. Make sure you like the video on your way in, on your way out. It's your boy Chopper Pot TV, and let's start the show off right. It's a little bit weird, but anywho, What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Chapapa from Chapapa TV. How's it going? It is December. Right now, it's about to be midnight. Brazil, we are 2 hours ahead of the States. It sucks. Sucks for various reasons because, if it could be 8 o'clock here and it's 6 o'clock in New York, and my peoples could still be at work or whatever. And it sucks if you want a game. It sucks if you try to get in contact with someone. It sucks, especially for football season. Yeah, because ever since daylight saving times, there's no daylight savings here in Brazil. Ever since daylight savings, games have been ending at like 1 a.m., 1:30 over here, like the primetime games, and that's kind of sickly. Me no like it. Me no like it at all. But besides that, Brazil has been going through their heat waves, crazy heat waves going on in Brazil right now. Traffic is going up as expected, with the holiday season. The dollar, oof, I don't know if you guys are paying attention to your economics, but the dollar has been like this. There was a point, I was in the Matrix, um, what was it, last month, for the month of November. And as I was going, that dollar was going back up. We was above the fives, we was getting jiggy, we was happy. And as soon as I come back, go figure. But you can still live right in Brazil. I was just talking to somebody about this today. Like, it is possible to live here in Sao Paulo, right? The most expensive city, I would say, in all of South America, with $2,000. It's possible. You just got to know where to go, right? I have Brazilian friends who are paying 1,500 reais a month in rent, right? Today, let's see what 1,500 reais is. That is $305. And the building is nice apartment building. You have your pool, your community area, your game room, laundry room, gym, lots of floors, $305. So, and it doesn't just apply to Brazil, it applies to wherever you go. You got to know where to go and figure out what type of lifestyle you want to have. And if you can afford that lifestyle, but if you can't, it's still very possible to live here on $1,500 to $2,000 a month on that low remote income, right? So I'm gonna give you guys an example. Me myself, ever since I've been in Brazil, I've been spoiled. So I like having. I haven't had like the rooms, like the 3 bedrooms like I've had in Dominican Republic, but I like having my options of, okay, I got a pool, I got a gym, I got a little 7-Eleven in the building. Most of these buildings got their little 7-Eleven, their supermarket open 24/7. You could go there, buy whatever you want. I have my security. What else do I have? I have like my common area, party area. So you got to find out like how you want to live and then go for it. But if you're the type like you want the high rise, the 30th floor and the fancy neighborhood right across from the mall, right across from the bridge, you're gonna have to pay that money, or maybe not. All depends. Like me, where I'm moving to is gonna be a nice place. I'm gonna have to furnish it myself. Yeah, and we spoke about furnishing and the commitment of furnishing in uh, these countries as an expat, but I basically cut my rent in half, right? So I was paying 6,400 hey guys, and now I'm going down to 3,800 hey guys. And to be honest, I don't know about y'all, but I count that as a win. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Basically trying to cut my rent in half. But the process, right? So I'm gonna break things down for you, and things that make sense. Um, 1 second. So when I moved to Dominican Republic, right, Santiago, you guys remember that complex I was in Gurabo? Video still up on the channel. It was easy, right? I want to say maybe I did like 2 months deposit, right? One first month's rent and a security deposit, which shockingly I got back when I moved, but it's not like that for everyone. They gave me the keys and I was able to move in, do what I want, install my air conditioners, install my TV into the wall, yada yada, etc. etc. Here in Brazil, I won't lie to you guys, so this is my second apartment, right? Second lease. I've been here since July of last year. I'm going on my third lease, and this has been the hardest one so far. And I'll tell you guys why. First lease, I got super lucky. The agent was a cool guy. Me coming from Dominican Republic straight to Brazil. He was Peruvian, so we spoke Spanish. We were able to communicate a little more. He helped me out. First apartment, all I had to do really was drop the security deposit and pay the first month's rent. This apartment I'm at now in Moema, about 20 minutes walking from the big, huge park here, Ibirapuera. Same thing, because I used the same company, same guy. First month's rent, security deposit. Now, I told you guys in prior videos, if you're going to come live in Brazil, it's very, very important you start establishing your footprints. What are your footprints? Your footprint here, your biggest footprint in Brazil will be your CPF number. Your CPF number is basically your social security card, your social security number. Here in South America, right? There is a huge difference between a CPF and an RNM. A RNM or RNE number that allows you to open bank accounts and get some utilities in your name. But most important thing is the CPF, because CPF is basically telling the federal, the Brazilian government, that you can spend money, that you have money to spend, and you are constantly putting into the economy. It's weird. It's very weird, but it's how they roll, and it's a little bit unfair. It's been unfair instances for me because I've been here in Brazil over a year, right? So I got my CPF number before I even knew I was moving down here. When I was in Rio last year, I spent my 2 months in Rio, I got my CPF number. And I've been using it, right? So I'll give you guys an example. You go to the pharmacy, you buy some ibuprofen, and they'll ask you, hey, do you want to put your CPF number on this purchase? You'll always tell them yes, right? Because that goes to like the recording, like, okay, this guy's buying stuff. I get it. It's weird. It's head scratching, but it's legit how they will track your spending. And it's legit how you can be available for credit down here. So my issue now is and this is what I get told. My CPF is new, right? Maybe a little bit over a year old, but it's new. I definitely spend money here, and I put my CPF on everything. And I think if the system was a little bit more fair, I wouldn't have had these issues. And not to sound like a douche, but I probably spend more on my CPF than residents here. But for this apartment, they're like, hey, you have your visa. This is good. You have your residency. You have a CPF, but your CPF is new. And we can't get you insurance for the apartment, right? Now, here's a little throwback lesson for you. Raise your hand in the chat if you have lived in the Dominican Republic for a significant amount of time to where you had your own rental contract. Raise your hand in the chat. Drop a 1. whatever it is. Garden Scientist, my guy, what's going on? Thank you. I appreciate it, man. Yo, I did my hair like what last week before, and I didn't comb my hair out for a little bit over a year, so I was pretty shocked at how much I had. But I dreaded my hair out here. Brazil inspired me to get back on it, but it's cool, man. I appreciate you, Garden Scientist. Missed you, bro. Hope all is well. But if you have rented or had any type of rental contract in the Dominican Republic, they have always asked you for the G word, the guarantor. What's the guarantor? The guarantor is basically your insurance of if you can't pay the rent, this person will be responsible for you, or this person will be responsible for, covering whatever you can't do. And correct me if I'm wrong, anybody in the chat, but that's how it goes, right? A lot of these places, a lot of these times, they'll ask you for a guarantor, whether it's getting a car, whether it's getting an apartment, you need that guarantor. Same thing in Brazil. But in Brazil, they get a little bit more technical with it. They get a little bit more, I want to say, stingy with it. How? Your guarantor here in Brazil for renting an apartment has to be someone who owns property, not a resident of Brazil. It has to be someone who owns their property here and who isn't a guarantor for someone else. I didn't have that. And this is exactly what happened to me, Ricky. I had to come out of 3 deposits here for the next apartment. I had to come out of 3 deposits. Since I didn't qualify for that little insurance, right? So because of my economic footprint, right? We're going to call it a CPF this episode, the economic footprint. Because of my economic footprint, I couldn't qualify for a $50 monthly insurance. I had my pay stubs. You could show that I could pay the rent, have the references from the prior landlords, but they basically want this insurance if your CPF doesn't, have traction. Like, okay, you pay an extra $50 on rent. I couldn't even qualify for the insurance. So guess what Chopper I had to do? Come out of pocket, 3 deposits. Craziness. And one thing that I learned that was completely different. Yeah, El Camelo, the multiple deposits here it's a real thing. And I spent days asking around various people. And they're like, yep, it sounds normal. Yep, 3 deposits. You could try to negotiate it. You could try to talk it down to 2. Like I said, maybe it's me. Maybe I got so spoiled from my first 2 contracts here where I didn't have to go through any of that. By the time I got to this next spot, I was just like, ready to fight it. So, not happy about it. But one thing that was a huge difference in living in DR and coming to live here in Brazil was that what it takes to get into an apartment, and also the contracts themselves, the languages of the contracts. I'm going to tell you guys something. If you come to live in Brazil and an apartment tells you, oh, hey, yeah, the lease length is 30 months. The lease length is 24 months. That's normal in some places. Very normal. Very rarely, right? So this place I'm in now, right, I was able to get a 6-month lease. I've been here since July. This place I'm in now, furnished, 6-month lease, whatever. But very rarely you get places with those 12 months unless you're able to talk to the owner. But it's mainly 30 months, right? So this place I signed for that I'll be moving to start next Friday, it's a 30-month lease. 30 months. Now, you're probably asking, wait, Chopper, do you see yourself staying in that same apartment for 30 months, to be honest? who knows? It's a nice apartment, but going forward, would I want to go to another city? Would I want to move before, 2.5 years? Probably. So what you can do now with these contracts is they put a clause in them that after a certain amount of time you could break the contract. So I'm going to use myself an example, right? I have a 30-month lease. I am allowed to break it after 15 months. But you know what happens? If I leave in that 15 months, I lose that 1, 2, 3 deposit, that nice deposit that I had to move into the apartment. Because technically they will use that deposit to pay off the 3-month notice that I give to say like, hey, I'm not gonna stay the 30 months, whatever. It's weird stuff, folks. Really, really weird stuff. They are very anal when it comes to paperwork. Brazilians, I mean, and the Brazilian country itself. Very anal when it comes to paperwork, when it comes to contracts, when it comes to the language of things, when it comes to the words of things. That's why I recommend, you brush up on Portuguese or you have a lawyer go over things for you. So I already know in my head that I'm probably gonna not stay 30 months there, unless we never know. But I'm saying for an example, right? I'm already preparing to say, all right, I lost 3 deposits because the last 3 months that I'll be staying there will be paid off, and I lost 3 deposits, and then I start on from wherever. A little bit different from what I went through in Dominican Republic. As you guys remember, I started off in Puerto Plata. Got super bored in Puerto Plata. Ended up breaking that lease, like within 6 months. Didn't get the deposit back. Moved to Santiago. Stayed there. What was it? A year, 2 years. Yeah, like 2 years. 2 years at that same apartment in Santiago, and then got my deposit back. Let the landlord know I was moving, with anticipation, and I got my deposit back. But here, when I moved in July, got my deposit back, sort of, kind of that I used that to move here. Really, that was like the first month rent, and then when I leave this place, I'll be getting a deposit back also because I technically completed my contract. So it's kind of like a plate of spaghetti. It's kind of like a plate of spaghetti here when it comes to the terms and the contracts and the languages. So it makes me ask, right? Do I appreciate renting more in Dominican Republic, or do I feel like I just need to suck it up here in Brazil, right? And one reason why I'm doing this live tonight for you guys, because I've been getting a few messages on the Chopper Pot Instagram about people wanting to branch out. A lot of you who are in the DR right now currently, and you're asking about Brazil, you're asking about other places, you're ready to move. Like I've moved, you're ready to move. Like Tailor Made Dreams has. You're ready to just go on to that next expat country. All right, so let's get to some of your questions. Over here, we have a different system, bro. We just live out the deposit. Yeah, so some contracts will let you live out the deposit here in Brazil. So as I explained, right, this next contract I'm going to be in, technically, I can live out the deposit. I wanted that money back, but if I don't stay at 30, then I understand after 12 months or 15 months, I get to live out that deposit for 3 months. But in DR, it's not always like that, bro, because sometimes you don't get your deposit back from these landlords. Can you sublease or Airbnb the apartment in the final 15 months and get your deposit back? You see, my thing is I have trust issues, right? Especially when it comes to apartments. Like, I've had my issue in the DR when it came to an apartment. I got trust issues, bro. So for me, subleasing something that's like in my name with my uh CPF, I like when I hear sublease, I just it goes in one ear out the other because I'm like, I don't want to put myself through that, unless I were to collect. So you see how it was like 3 deposits they collected on me. I'd do something collect 5, 6 if it came to subleasing. So anything that has to do with like somebody stepping on the footprints I already made, I don't know. Sublease for me. I try to, I actually tried to sublease when I was living in DR at the house I had in Puerto Plata. I tried to sublease there, and I chickened out. I did the whole Airbnb post and everything, and then I just chickened out. I was like, nah, man, that's too much responsibility, bro. Like, we don't move to give ourselves more for burden or issues. Like a lot of us move and live outside of the states for the best quality of life that we can get, that we can afford, and that comes like financially, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and just the weight of responsibility. And subleasing for me was a huge weight of responsibility. Yo, Gardner, what's crazy, bro? I've probably said the word Panama like maybe 20 times in like the past month alone. Because whenever I fly to New York from Sao Paulo, I always stop by Panama. And geez Louise, holy moly. That airport is just, if you guys have ever been through Panama's International Airport, I think it's called Tucumán Airport. Guys, ladies, it's like a fashion show in there. Just models at every terminal direction. I would like to explore Panama, for a few days. I get a nice vibe there. It's beautiful, very beautiful. Who here in the chat has been to Panama and been there recently? Is it worth visiting? I know I wouldn't live there in Panama because they basically used it to off there, but definitely every time I'm in that airport, I'm just like, maybe I should stay here for a day or two. Panama is like that. But going back to the topic at hand, right? So we discussed contracts here and the huge difference between the Dominican Republic and Brazil. Another thing I have learned where I was like in the beginning, hey, DR is worse in this sense than Brazil. But to be honest, my mindset has changed on that is the driving. Okay. In Brazil, the driving isn't bad like the Dominican Republic, right? I could say that driving in Brazil is like driving in Manhattan. Flash that. Driving in Sao Paulo is like driving in Manhattan. No matter where you go. You got the motorcycles, just like DR. And you don't have the reckless driving, like, people running red lights in the daylight, or no blinkers, or no turn signals. But people don't know how to back out, of parking spaces, or merging is a little bit suspect. Like, I wouldn't call it reckless driving here in Sao Paulo, but I will question where folks have learned how to drive. So when I first came here, I was like, oh man, driving in Sao Paulo is a breeze. I feel safer, like this and that. Not as much traffic incidents or traffic deaths. DR is still number 1 in the world for traffic related accidents, traffic related deaths. But in here in Sao Paulo especially, driving is a little bit suspect. I'll give you that. Driving is definitely a little bit suspect here in Sao Paulo. All right, so Ricky says they have been setting up cameras at most light here in Santo. Less people still in the rest. That's good. That's good. They need to do some speed traps here too. Here in Sao Paulo, there's this speed traps sprinkled like who knows, bro. There's speed traps. Are there red light cameras? I don't know. I think I've seen more speed lights than red light cameras. Speed traps than red light cameras. So that's good that they're doing that in Santo Domingo. They need to do that because the amount of accidents, you can't even call it accidents. It's just negligence. The amount of crashes that happen due to negligence there at all times of the day. So that's good. Good on DR. Good on DR. Finally setting up. El Camelo says it's crazy your rental experience went that way. I watched another YouTuber that explained the exact same requirements to a T, 15-month minimum. It's nuts, bro. Like how can you sit there as an owner and request 30 months out of somebody? Like that's wild. And then you don't do the 30 months, okay, whoops, there goes your deposit. It's wild, but it's hard. And, I keep stressing this out. Anybody who's going to come live in Brazil, please, 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 first thing you got to do, get your CPF. Start establishing yourself. We're going to call it your carbon footprint, right? Guarding, you're going to be down here, right? Get a CPF, right? Even without a CPF number, you can't even get a SIM card from Claro. You could barely do nothing. It's like you're a little kid without a CPF number here in Brazil. Yeah, 30 months could just be laziness. And, they do the same thing here that they do in DR. Like after that year, they're entitled to go up by a little. But for my first apartment, my landlord, she was wilding. And that's another thing I learned. And I think it's just in Latin America in general, landlords be wilding with some of these requests that they be having for rental prices and whatnot. They be wilding out. So I think my spot was like maybe 50 meters, 50 M's, 52. And then homegirl wanted to go up by like 600 hey ice. And I'm like, yo, you're raising the price, but the apartment ain't growing size. What has changed? The neighborhood, yeah, they're doing a lot of building. There's a mall right there, but some of these renters do get the owners, the property owners, do get a little bit out of pocket, especially those who have what I've noticed. And this is gonna sound a little like messed up, but I noticed the people here who have that power to go back and forth between here and the U.S. They get a little money hungry. A little bit money hungry. I don't know. Something changes them, right? Because there's an apartment in the same building that I'm moving to, right? So I'll be on the 21st floor. This apartment is on like the 16th, 18th floor. Furnished. Beautiful apartment. Shorty wanted more than what I'm paying here now. I'm paying 6,300 hey, she wanted 6,700. Ridiculous. And I'm like, no, I'm not paying that. My max is 4,000 hey ice. She went down to 55. From 6,700 to 5,500. So I saw two things there. One, I saw you shooting your shot because you have the power to go back and forth to the States, and you're automatically gonna assume, okay, Gringo has money, Gringo could pay it. She basically took off 1,200 hey ice off the rent, just like that, just off me saying no, and you want 5,500. But in that same building, a higher floor, unfurnished, I get it. I found a spot for 38. You're like, come on. It is laziness, and it is some greed involved. But I've noticed that in Colombia, I noticed that in DR, just in Latin America in general, renting sucks most of the time. Renting sucks. But also around this time of the year, it is hard. It's hard to rent. It's hard to find people who would rent um, your apartments. Difference will get you furnished fast. Yeah, I'm ready to buy my own furniture, bro. I'm ready to buy my own furniture because if you think about it, the difference I would be paying for a furnished spot, I could furnish my own place in less than a year if I buy things 1 month at a time. And that's the same lesson I've said in Dominican Republic. That's the same lesson I will tell you guys in Brazil, right? If you're in Dominican Republic, if you know you're gonna stay there for at least 3 years, at least 3 years in the Dominican Republic. I gave myself 3 years. I thought I was gonna stay more, couldn't handle it. I got my own furniture. Get your own furniture because the difference you would pay is enough to buy your own stuff. Your own stuff, your own stuff. So I would say if you're gonna stay there for a certain amount of time, and this is something that me and Jorge always like go back and forth for, but we can agree. If you're gonna stay somewhere for a certain amount of time and you know you're gonna live there, furnish your own spot. Don't go crazy with the furniture, but it makes sense to furnish your own spot because it's like you're financing you're financing in your rent for something that'll never be yours. So whether you're in DR, whether you're in Brazil, if you know you're gonna stay there for a certain amount of time, furnish your own spot. Definitely. So that's been a few experiences that I've learned, had to learn the hard way um, here. Another thing I learned, huge difference, dating. Dating is very different here in Brazil compared to my time in the Dominican Republic. And I could keep it as simple as here I don't really get asked for shit. Here, in my experience as a male, women, I'm trying to word this correctly to not hurt some feelings because I know there's some DR bandits on the channel, but like women are genuine here. I like the genuineness that you get from if you like girl likes you, you go out. It's like nice because in DR it could be the same where it's like, okay, you meet someone, you like him, da da da, this and that. And then 2 days later, whoosh, they just throw all of their world's problems on you, or they try to take advantage, or maybe you're in the long game, maybe you're not, but it's not worth it, right? And shout out to Taylor Made Dreams. He's been back in DR recently. And he's been doing some lives where I chuckle to myself, like he's getting that reminder after being away in Thailand for so long and have different space. He's getting that reminder that dating relationships over there is like a needle in a haystack, but that needle probably doesn't exist. I appreciate not just dating, but like people over here so much. It's so easy to go out and make friends and hang out or talk to people or enjoy. Listen, you and not saying it's not the same in DR, but I felt in DR, especially in Santiago, I always had to be careful with who I would talk to or say things to or do things around. Like I'd be nervous to buy a beer in front of people. Not to say my time there, I haven't met some great people. I haven't met some cool people, but it's very rare. Here in Brazil, you could sit at a boteca, sit at a bar, and then within the hour, your table's full, and then everybody's buying everybody rounds, or you got plans next week with the person dating. I've never gotten in trouble so much by someone getting upset that I wouldn't let them split the bill. And it sounds crazy, but if I take a female out, I like her. I'll be like, hey, I'll take care of the bill, whatever. Us as foreigners, we do bring in more most of the time. And some of them will fight me till teeth and bone to pay a portion of that bill. Granted, I'm not saying this is like Fairy Island, Paradise Island, where it's like every single woman do that. No, you still have the ones where it's like what did Big Boy say? Get geeked at the sight of an ATM receipt. You still got those. You got those that are like, hey, I want to go out for the meal, whatever, blah, blah, this and that. But those first time meets with someone who you've talked to for a while, date, or you got the number, and consideration, that's the word I'm looking for. I've had some really, really considerate moments, right? So I just had a date the other day where it's like I was trying to pick the spot and I was sending her options. And you somebody had said a comment earlier about living right and expenses. And maybe I was testing, maybe I wasn't, because end of the day I want to enjoy some of these things myself. But she threw my options back at me like these are too expensive. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I'm gonna give you an example what expensive is. Expensive is for two people, a shit ton of food would come out to maybe 35 $40 for two people, drinks included, a whole bunch of food. I mean a hodizio. If you guys don't know what a hodizio is, look that up. $35 $45. I get the message back like that's too much, costs too much. I'm like, okay. So then I go, nah, don't worry about it, I'll take care of it. And because it's someplace that I really want to check out. And in return, I got options, other options sent back to me, similar style food place for a lower price. So it's good to meet strangers that already have your interests at heart without them knowing so much, right? It's like there's a bit more. I find a bit more empathy here in Brazil than I have ever had my entire time in Santiago. Publicly, not privately amongst friends, but publicly. Publicly, the empathy here in Brazil is amazing. It's beautiful. And I'm in Sao Paulo, which I would say Sao Paulo is the New York City of Brazil. So people could be dicks. Not like New York, United States dicks, but like, nah, let me rephrase that. People won't be dicks, but it's like compared to other states, Sao Paulo's a little bit colder, but other states are so warm. Like the delivery man will stop you. Like when I went to Natal, like the delivery man would stop you and have like a 5 minute conversation with you in the street. Certain states, especially up north, if you come down here and you ask Brazilian, like, hey, where's the warmest, nicest place, like warmest people in Brazil, and they'll all tell you up north, like the Salvador Bahia area. Let's get to these comments. When I go, it will be permanent, bro. That's why I'm preparing so much. How are you preparing? Preparing means that you're not really like you're pushing the brakes on your investments in the DR in terms of what you're buying that you may have to get rid of, what you're um what you're selling. I know you said you were waiting on some paperwork for your girl, so share with the chat, Ricky. What's preparation like for you now as you get ready to try to leave Santo Domingo to come to Brazil? What's the online Tinder scene like in Sao Paulo? Does it feel scammy? Um, no, not scammy at all. Definitely not the DR vibe you would get, where it's like, all right, it's like the time ticking. Okay, how many times or how much time left till I get the expected question or request. It's not like Colombia or Medellin where you feel like, all right, will this be the last date I ever have? Like, will this be my last night on Earth type shit? That vibe you get from Medellin. Nah, it's not scammy. Um, the online dating scene here is good. I've actually met people where I'm like, it ain't work out in that direction, but we're friends. We're cool. Um, Not scammy at all. You will find people promoting themselves a lot there, like like the Instagram, or you will find like some OnlyFans models there. But scammy at all, definitely not scammy. And on the terms of social media, man, social media is so heavy out here, but it's really, really hard for me to tell where it's heavy at. DR Brazil. But people go ham for social media, TikTok. It's just head scratching to me. I am mostly working on closing all my obligations out here and working on what my income is going to be when I first arrive. All right, cool, cool. Um, Definitely prepare for. If you guys don't know, Brazil is going forward with the e-visa requirements for Americans, Australians, starting in January. So if you're going to come to Brazil as an American with an American passport, you will need to fill out the application. You will need to do the application online. I'm going to see if I could get Mike, my guy Mike, back up here. If he could break that down for us nicely one of these days. So we're going to get Mike back up here. But I don't know if anybody did hear this, but I need some help with my camera, please. For StreamYard. StreamYard is not picking up my camera for some reason. Can't use it as a webcam anymore. It sucks. It's bothering me. But anybody can help me out, I greatly appreciate it. Hit me up on the DMs. And you guys can ask your questions too. I'm opening up the chat line for any questions that you guys may possibly have. Like I said, I know a few of you had hit me up about considering or wanting to come out to Brazil and scout. That's a possible move. So ask your questions, because basically I'm just trying to guide you in the sense of where I was at that point where I'm like, yeah, you know what, I'm ready for a new country in Latin America, or I'm ready to bounce out of DR and go somewhere else. Let me see, does Brazil have what I need? What would that transition be like? So we spoke about contracts, we spoke about the driving, we spoke about the people. If there's anything else you feel I'm missing as far as transitioning from one LA country to another, let me know. Like I said, it has been a while since I've done these live streams, so all my questions and thoughts are just all over the place. Queens 718, what's going on? Shout out to Shadyville, Queens. You already know, born and raised. He says, what's up, chop up Chapa Chapa. Chapa Chapa. All right, cool. That's a new one. So I learned that the DR gets more tourists than a mega country like Brazil. Only Mexico gets more tourists than DR and all Latin America. Listen, tourism in the DR is $1 billion industry. Billion, billion. Tourism alone in DR probably brings in the most revenue on in the Caribbean, maybe even that side of the hemisphere when it comes to tourism. And what backs it up is look at all the new airlines that have opened up for flights to Dominican Republic, right? So they just here in Brazil, they just opened up an airline um, that flies straight to Santo Domingo, right? So it's called RJet. So if you're in DR and you want to fly straight to Brazil without the layovers, there's an airline that'll fly straight to Sao Paulo, straight to Rio, and also from Santiago, you can fly out of Santiago to Brazil, straight flight, but you can't fly yet from Brazil to Santiago. So a little gem for you guys. You guys could fly straight flight, no layovers, no nothing, from Brazil to Santo Domingo to Dominican Republic. So I guess it's both countries trying to work out, tourism. Dominicans go to Brazil, Brazilians go to Dominican. And I guess it's working out like that. But I found that very interesting. I don't know anyone personally who has tried it yet. I think Russ is going to try it when he comes out here to Brazil. So we're going to get his thoughts on that. But definitely caught my attention on the straight flight from Santiago to Sao Paulo, because normally when I had to go to Santiago when I was living here in Brazil, or while I'm living in Brazil, I've always had to fly directly into Santo Domingo and then do that 2.5 ride up to Santiago and then leaving the same thing. So these flights is definitely more a game changer. But the tourism alone in DR, that's never going to go away, and that's not going to stop with what's going on with Haiti and the bad treatment of the Haitians there and so on. Tourism in DR is always going to be booming. I mean, billions and billions of dollars. And it's weird that all that revenue is hardly going into the infrastructure. It's weird. Like, I know you guys seen the flooding that happened last month, with the bridge collapsing. This, like I said, the traffic, the death causing incidents in traffic there, you can't call them accidents. The point is negligence. Rick from Jersey, not to get ahead of myself, but I'm in the same boat as Ricky. God willing, I'll be reaching out to you, Chopper, I'm hoping to go there. Yeah, listen, guys, I'm still doing consultations. You hit me up on the email and the Instagram if you want to do your consultations, whether it's for DR, whether it's for Brazil, getting yourself set up. If you're moving to Brazil, getting yourself set up with the visas, with the CPF, with the neighborhood hunting, where to live, where to go, anything you need when it comes to moving, get me privately for your consultations. I will give you guys my time, but I also ask that you respect it. And just it's nothing crazy. Consultation fees are not crazy, and it's better than the headaches that you would get from misinformation or Google or listening to Weekend Warriors or whatever it is. I'm here full time. I live here full time. I got my visa. I legit got my visa. But hit me up, Brick from Jersey, whenever you're ready, and we will get you squared away. What have I been told about the East that is not as safe as we are now? Have you checked all that out? The East, I've been there. I spent like half a day there in some areas. The East is good, bro. As far as safety, I felt fine there, especially the apartment I went to go see. What people will tell you about the East is like it's a little bit far from central Sao Paulo, where you have Parque Ibirapuera and Pinheiros with the bars, Villa Madalena with the bars, Villa Mariana. Um, in my opinion, and I'm gonna test this out when I move. But most of the best shopping malls are here, right here in the central part of Sao Paulo. That's where I go to get my cologne. Maybe some clothes, whatever. But farther out, things are cheaper, way cheaper. Anywhere between beers here being 15 reais, over there 5 to 10. Now, if we're talking a city like Guarulhos, Ricky, then I understand because Guarulhos is about 45-minute drive. That's where the airport is, the international airport that whoever's coming to Sao Paulo would have to fly into. And when I mentioned Tatuapé to my Brazilian people, they're like, yeah, yeah, it's good. But then when I mentioned Guarulhos, they're like, nah, 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 nah. So it's weird. Like you always have to build your own experience and what works for you, and most of the time, not what others say. If that makes any sense. Mr. Garb says, was it just first off, good evening, Mr. Garb. Nice to see you. I think your first time commenter. Said, was it just that you wanted something new as far as a country, or did something discourage you in DR? Yeah, I got discouraged a hell of a lot in DR. Um, I went over that several times in a few lives in the past, but definitely a lot discouraged in DR. It was just hard to like really live there every day and just say, okay, I'm gonna have to step out of the house with a wild, wild west mentality, like from anybody. It could come from anywhere, just from professionals to regular people to professionals who are supposed to be regular people. A lot discouraged me there, especially, and most of it came from the treatment, right? Especially as a gringo, a black gringo, because the DR does have its colorism issues, as it does have its issues with Haitians, but even its issues with Americans in general, right? I'm pretty sure you guys have paid attention to Taylor's stories where now guys are getting locked up, kicked out of their own places by their significant other, losing everything, losing the car, losing the house, losing the furniture, maybe kids having to pay a substantial amount of money to police, to lawyers, all these setups. So it's a lot because it's like, why live in a place where you feel like, damn, any day it could be me. Any day I could get caught up or whatever. Not even caught slipping, because our whole point of wanting to move abroad is to where we feel good in our quality of living, and good physically, like legit happy to be there. So at a point for me, it was like I was happy to be there, but I wasn't happy, if that made sense. For who I was, gringo, dark skin. It's like me walking down the block. I'm a setup waiting to happen. Everybody thinks you're rich. Everybody thinks you can save their life. Well, not everybody, but that's basically how it goes. And it got so tiring, got so discouraging. I've had situations there with a few people where I got into a car accident where a motorcycle hit me. Cops came, exchanged information. I ain't leave, because you get into a car accident there, somebody hits you there, you're not catching that person. That person's leaving. So I thought I'd stay be responsible, because I'm like, shit, I'm not at fault. I don't have to pay nothing. Guess what? 10,000 pesos later, come to find out the guy had a fake insurance card or wasn't paying his insurance. I couldn't get reimbursed. I'm hitting the guy up. He's giving excuses that I just said. It's just, it's just so grimy. It gets so grimy there at a point. Like such a jailhouse crab in a barrel mentality. Not with them towards each other, but just as an outsider, man, it's a huge target on your back. And I noticed that target would enlighten no matter how well I spoke the language, no matter where how far away from the tourist areas I lived, that target was still there. It was very discouraging. And for the past time I've had here in Brazil, I haven't felt that target on my back. But it's very discouraging. Talk to some folks, Mr. Guarp. Well, you hear Taylor stories, right? And Taylor won't come out directly and say like, hey, that's why I call it story. He leaves the story times up for you guys to decipher if it's worth it or not. Going through that, if it's worth investing your time, money, effort to live there, knowing that everybody who's come before you has gone through the exact same thing and same feelings. Queen's a big part of it. Not good tourism. There have been a couple of documentaries on prostitution tourism and child prostitution too, especially Puerto Plata. And with Puerto Plata, bro, it was weird. Like I was so wet behind the ears in Puerto Plata, especially when it came to prostitution. Like I was in the market during the pandemic, and I seen a fine lady. And I go up to talk to her, get her number, or whatever. I'm like, hey, let's exchange contacts, get to know each other. Maybe we could like go out, grab lunch, something. And I hit her up in a conversation like that, and then the conversation went from, yeah, we could go sit down on the Monaco and talk to have lunch to, yeah, how much you pay me for my time? It's just crazy. A lot of undercover prostitution there and prostitution tourism. I'm guessing that's people flying over there for to partake in things. Hey, listen, to each their own, but I do not condone anyone partaking in anything that has to do with children. So, my time in Puerto Plata, thankfully, I didn't hear anything, I didn't see anything, but it's possible that it's out there because it definitely happens with the locals when it comes to the age differences. But as you guys have heard from me, from Jorge, from Taylor, just because you live there, you speak the language, they will never consider you a local or Dominican. And we reached out to TMZ. He seems very happy. POP assigned. Hope to get to Rio. Yeah, I spoke to Unc and he told me he's gonna stop by Brazil after he finishes up things in DR. And you know why he's happy? This time because number one, Thailand recharges batteries, right? Um, Weight change, living correctly, and at the same time, he's going back to DR with the expectation of I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. I'm not going to create fire. What's there is already there, and I'll accept it and maneuver it to the best of my ability. Control what I can control. So Uncle Russ is very happy in POP right now because he's controlling what he can't control. He already know the deal. He already knows the song and dance. Nothing he can do to change it. Nothing he can do to move it. Just it is what it is at that point. Control what you can't control. Don't let nothing stress you out, and then just do your time. You good, bro? You good? Don't worry about it. Um, I'll be honest with you and say it's countrywide, not just Santiago. Ricky says, "Bro, it's a con. They will throw themselves at you and try to scam you. A motorcycle thing here, no one falls for anyone, bro. It's just, I won't lie to you guys. I'm behind on the times on whatever the scams are there. I'm behind on the times, but when I say even the police, when the police are in it, bro, you also just wave the white flag when the police are in it because the police get their cut. I've been a part of that. I've been a part of where I've had to like grease a cop's palms over there for a situation to come out in my favor, which should have come out in my favor under common sense of the law. But common sense over there is ran by. Queen says, Chopper, all LA countries are corrupted. They always target gringos. I'm a traveler. I have seen it all. You're right with the corruption part. You're right with the target gringos. But there is a but. I want to say some countries are more tolerable than others, right? Because as a traveler, you've seen the differences between, well, I'm not sure what type of traveler you are, but if you spent a great amount of time in a place, you've seen the differences between traveling to DR and traveling to Colombia and traveling to Mexico and traveling to Brazil and Peru and so on. As a gringo, me personally, I believe there is a different level of gringo in certain countries. Yes, you're a target. Yes, everybody automatically thinks that Bill Gates is your uncle, but there's levels to it, if you understand what I mean. He says, I have lived here since '94 and I'm not considered a local, even though I vote here. And I'm telling you, Rebel for the truth, what's going on? He says, if you're going to be in any country, you got to learn the language and trust. I used to have your problems and do not have it anymore. People are always going to take advantage of any sucker they see. That is true. And learning the language is important. Definitely is important. But in my case, in other several cases, I'm going to use my time in DR as an example. Me learning the language improved my situation somewhat, but one thing it did was it just put me on to game on what was going to happen to me or what was planned around me. I agree. Any country you're going to be in, you got to learn the language. More language, less problems. Who knows? Depends on your experiences. But I'm gonna use my brother Jorge as an example. When I was leaving, he was the most optimist person I knew I had left on that island. And today he's like, man, I see exactly what you're saying, and it's hard to keep doing this shit because it comes from all angles, Rebel, and it's tiring. It gets specifically tiring when it comes from a place this is not supposed to come from, right? Because Why do I have to live in a way where every day I wake up, I have to try to outsmart someone? And all I wanted is plátanos. Why do I have to try to outsmart you for plátanos? Why do I gotta live like that? So you say that you got to outsmart these people with morals and call them out so they know you're not dumb. Bro, I've been there, done that. I've called them out and they ain't changed shit because they'll just go back to trying it the next day. And what are you gonna do? You're gonna call out the whole island? You're gonna go city to city and call out everybody else, let them know you're not dumb? They don't care. You're not dumb to them that day. The next day, it'll happen again and again. It'll be somebody else, different store, different city, different location, whatever, different gender, whatever. It is a wheel over there of let's see how dumb you are. For me, it took some of my Dominican friends to call out other Dominicans. Where even in some situations, they're like ashamed or shaking their head like, damn, like, you really gonna try this? I'm gonna give you an example, right? When my car got um, ran into by a motorcycle and I had to pay out of pocket for repairing, right? Because what's insurance? What's no fault insurance? Because I thought the insurance would cover the payments, but no, I had to pay, even though I was paying monthly insurance, which I don't get. One scam, right? So I go to pick up the car, and the guy's like, "Oh, you have a 500 peso balance." Right? I think it was around 500 pesos balance. I'm like, no, I don't, because the insurance is saying the deductible was 10,000 pesos. And I called my boy Tomas, and I'm like, yo, what's going on? Why are they saying that I owe, more money or whatever? I'm here trying to take the car out. The car is fixed. So he's like, pass the phone to dude. He talks to him. They talking. He gives the phone back to me, and he's like, bro, take your key and go. The man did a car wash, like some buff shine, some custom car wash that I never even asked for, right? To try to get more money. And he tells Tomas, well, what about the labor that I did, or what about the work I did? And Tomas goes, nobody asked you for that. That's you trying to make money, like sneak in your little extra money for something that's already paid for. Bro, you really did not have anyone set you up right or look out for you. It's hard if you're not somewhat Latino. Well, Rebel, I've had people set me up. I've had people look out for me. When I first got to Santiago, I'm reading your comments. The language is very. All right, I can tell you're new to the channel because you're talking to me like I spent 3 years in the Dominican Republic without knowing the language. So we are going to move on from that topic. If you have any confusion, I would suggest just go back and watch old videos. But you're definitely talking to me like I'm just wet behind the ears, two suitcases, and living in the heart of Sasua. But anywho, um, guys, make sure you guys like the video on your way in, on your way out. Uh, yeah, Rebel, definitely don't have time for that. The language barrier destroyed my experience. I had a hell of a time in DR, and it wasn't because of the language barrier. So, but like I said, it seems that you're late to the channel. I would suggest you go back and watch some more videos. But thank you for your time commenting. Supposedly, the area called Cibao, including Santiago, La Vega, San Francisco, is where the better looking women will be found on the island, although now most come to Santo. I don't know. Some people tell you Santo has the best, and people tell you Santiago has the best. That's like saying if you come to here in Brazil, people be like, oh, you know, the best looking women are Carioca. And then to me, it's like, I don't know. I feel the best are in Sao Paulo. All depends what you like, no? I've had bad experience, but the bad experience made me learn, and the same thing never happens again. Well, the bad experience made me learn, and it also told me that the bad experience will come back again in a different form. But okay. All right, bro, cool. I hope so. I hope it works out for you. He lives in San Pedro. All right, Rebel. Hope it works out for you. But whenever you want to revisit this topic of conversation, exactly. Let's talk about Brazil. So for the next few minutes, because we're past that hour mark, I will be answering all your Brazil questions. What's going on? Um, Christmas decorations been up since freaking September. Gas is cheap. I find gas extremely cheap here in Brazil for some reason. Maybe that's why everybody has cars. What else is going on? If you have like one of them AC inverters and you're able to fly it and bring it in, I would suggest doing that because it gets hot down here. I've been seeing news about crime spiking and targeting Americans. Any thoughts? My boy was just telling me today in Rio. Well, I want to remind you guys what time of the year it is in Latin America. It is Christmas time. It's Christmas time. And Christmas means I gotta get it somehow, some way, for myself, for my family, for my kids. And in every single country, it'll happen. It'll happen in DR, it'll happen in Colombia, it'll happen in Brazil. Crime will spike from November to January for the holidays. I call it the holiday rush. I remember when I was still in DR, people were scared to fly into the airports because you would get ran down on that road leaving the airport and robbed out of all the shit in your suitcase. Same happened in Colombia. But in Brazil, right? So my buddy was telling me today in Rio, locals and Americans, have been targeted for robberies. But then the locals all banded together and chased after whoever was robbing. So just imagine like a whole city block of people chasing like two people and beating their ass. This happened in Rio. So a few of them, well, not a few of them, some people, enough is enough because everybody's busting their ass trying to get ready for the holidays, and then you get robbed and people are like, nah, fuck that. So a whole city block just like chasing whoever is trying to rob. Americans and locals. Happened in Rio. But it's normal. It's not normal like in a sense like, oh, it happens, ignore it. But it's normal for this time of year in Latin American countries with crime spiking. Especially when they know you're coming in from America, because what are you bringing in your suitcase most of the time around this time of the year? They might kill you at customs with that AC, but man, I tell you, it's a necessity down here. It's like having an AC here in Brazil is like water. You need it. It's real quick. I work remotely, so consistent good internet is much. Should I? Now, internet out here is fine. Like right now, let me know if my internet is okay, but I'm on the Wi-Fi. I'm not even direct connected. I'm on the Wi-Fi. I got other devices plugged in, and it's working fine. I think I'm at like 200 megas. Internet is not a problem here. Not bad, it's not the language barrier, but still do not let the negative experience ruin for you. I hope you come back. Nah, too late for that. I'm good. I don't need to make a second trip back, but I appreciate it though. Maybe you should go to Puerto Rico to stay. Nah, I'm all right, Rebel. But thank you. See, and I've noticed it doesn't even come down to who looks like they have money more. Anybody could be a target. But what gives away the American tourist, right? So let's break it down. What gives away the American tourist in these LA countries, right? Most of the time you have the shorts, which I get, like, because when I was in DR, I try to make it a point where I wouldn't wear shorts when I go out to not be a dead giveaway. But here is like, yo, I don't care. I will wear shorts if I need to because it's hot. Locals will wear shorts. And that's what I like about here, because I know in Colombia, when Dre would speak, he mentioned shorts is a stigma there. Sandals. But here the locals, people at work got the the chancletas or shorts or a t-shirt. So it's like they dress appropriate for the weather. So in some places, do shorts mean tourists? Yes, it's dumb. I get it. But for here, it's not really a close thing, right? Because you have people who wear their Gucci loafers to work or whatever. Brazil has money, yeah. Don't get it twisted that third world country. Brazil has money. This city, Sao Paulo itself, has a few Mercedes dealerships, a Lamborghini dealership, a Ferrari dealership. Somebody's buying these cars for them to be dealerships here. Brazil has money. So as far as looks, I don't think that matters really unless you go into the wrong place and you're extra flashy. But it's like Ricky said, it's not just American tourists. What the Brazilian questions we have? What else do you guys like to know? I'm hoping and praying for that dollar to just stay around 5. People who work and get the euro and live down here they don't have a single care in the world, because that euro will always be bouncing between 5.35 and 5.55. But that dollar's scary, you know. I think yesterday it had gone up to 4.97. Now it's at 4.90. Always keep watching that. Like, if you're fortunate enough to be able to have your Brazilian account, if you're down here, if you got your CPF and your RNA number, which I have spoken to you how to get in various videos, and through consultations. I personally would keep a watch on the dollar, and then if it's above a certain point, do your transfers. Do your transfers, and then if you don't have to use it, just do your transfers so you know you're getting more for your dollar, right? If you need help transferring from U.S. bank accounts to Brazilian, hit me up. Got a link for you. Super, super easy. Referral link, of course. But super, super easy. It's how I pay my rent, how I pay other people. And one thing to know when coming down to Brazil, they use Pix a lot, right? So you definitely want to make sure you have your app set up for that. Pix is Pix. It's basically the national version of Zelle or Cash App, to where you can go to a restaurant, most restaurants, and pay with Pix. Imagine going to Applebee's and you tell Applebee's, "Hey, let me Cash App you." That's basically what Pix is, and people receive their paychecks through it, pay friends, family, each other through it. I pay my rent through it, my utilities, sometimes Uber, sometimes food. Pix is, like I said, that national. Just think of it as a national Cash App. Easy. Comes with QR codes, um, like number codes, everything. So keep that in mind, especially if you're gonna come down here. If you're gonna come down here and spend a week or 2 weeks and you're gonna get a SIM card, I would say just throw that idea out the window. Better off getting an eSIM. Get a phone that's compatible with eSIMs. Because if you come here and you don't have a CPF, 9 times out of 10 you can't go to these cell phone stores to get a SIM card. And 9 times out of 10 it's a waste of time. So what you can do is, while you're in the States, download your eSIM, install it to your phone, come down here. As soon as you touch down at Guarulhos Airport, you turn it on and you're good to go. Only problem is you can't like do calls, but WhatsApp works, and that's basically all you need here. And in Brazil, WhatsApp, they're known WhatsApp heavy, definitely heavy. Every LA country is WhatsApp, and now Telegram. Most people use Telegram. Uh, a few people here use iMessage, surprisingly. But the eSIM is very important, and I don't want you guys to come down here and be like, yeah, first thing you're gonna do when you get out of the airport is go get a SIM card. It's not gonna be that easy, especially without a CPF. Oh man, I froze. Come on. Oh boy. God damn it. Really, I was just talking so nice about your computer. Let's see. Computer's frozen. I don't know if the stream is frozen. If you guys are still here, give me 1 second. Come on. What did you do? Give me 1 second, guys. I don't want to close the browser and then the stream itself stops. I'm on a Mac. I'm getting that rainbow wheel, whatever that means. Jeez Louise. Let's see if I'm still live on the YouTube. This sucks.
Also is that if you're competent at fighting, if you want, you know, that black girl was. Are we even?
All right, I'm here. I'm back. All right, cool. I'm back. Whew. I'm back. My apologies for that, guys. That's computer telling me it's time to go to sleep. It's 1:17 here. Like I said, these going forward are gonna be a little bit hellish because I am 2 hours ahead of most of you. So let me get through these last minute questions. What would you recommend to ship packages and online orders from the US? That is a great question. To be honest, none. I have zero. Unless you're balling out of control like that to where you don't care about the importation fees, I wouldn't even recommend it to you. The best I could recommend is you fly it in yourself or have somebody fly it in for you. Because for Amazon, their fees are ridiculous. I mean, I wanted to buy something on Amazon for maybe $90, right? By the time I got through to checkout to where it said place order, from importation and taxes alone, the price jumped from $80 to about $430 just off importation. Brazil is hell when it comes to shipping. Absolute hell when it comes to shipping. Not even worth it. It's not worth it. You're better off. And it's not like. And this is where I give my kudos to DR, because DR you have your BM Cargo, you have your CPS. It's not worth it. There's nothing like that here in Brazil. There's DHL, yeah, there's DHL, Amazon works, but if you have the money if you have the extra 100 to pay on something that maybe costs anywhere between $50 to $100, you could do that. But Brazil, you better off bringing it yourself. That's why any big purchases or electronics or whatever, I always try to wait till I go back to the States, or if I have somebody who's coming down, I have them ready for me. Because you could go broke off just shipping here. So, and it's hard. I know, because you definitely want your online orders, but you can buy locally. Like Ricky said, you definitely can buy locally. But shipping, nah. Yeah, BM Cargo was clutch, man. It was clutch, but you could definitely buy everything locally, and it'd be, maybe cheaper than what you find online, depending where you go. Definitely save yourself money on the importation and the taxes buying locally. But like I said, Amazon works, DHL works, but it's not worth shipping. But guys, we are at 1:34. Get ready to wrap up this live stream. It's been great talking to y'all. Definitely try to be back. Well, not try. I will be back on weekly, talk to you guys, answer your questions, give you all the updates on this side of the hemisphere. It's your boy Chopper TV. Taking last minute comments, questions. It was good talking to everybody tonight. Ricky, Garden, El Camelo, Mr. Guap, Profe Haitian gunman, Sakafet. It's been real. Everybody have a good weekend. Hope you guys take care. Don't forget to like the video on your way in, on your way out. It's your boy Chopper TV, and I am signing out.